Communication is just like food, water, shelter, and any other necessity that humans need to survive. The ability to communicate allowed humans to thrive as the most adaptable species on Earth, continuously coming up with brilliant ideas to save the entire race. Generally, communication is defined as the relationship established between the sender and the receiver. It follows a systematic process of exchange in thoughts, emotions, ideas, gestures, sounds, and sign languages containing messages that has to be encoded, decoded, and responded in order to complete the cycle. Through the span of a human's life, there are different types of communication used depending on context and competence. An infant communicates to the parents through body movements, and crying is its first verbal communication. Communication is directly influenced by context, or the actual setting where the communication takes place. This is mainly influenced by the location and the situation where the speaker and the listener interact, the appropriateness of the message, proxemics, and other psychological factors. Several models of communication circulated, as there existed many theories of how communication takes place. The most popular is the Shannon-Weaver communication model. This model has gained so much popularity that it is hailed as the mother of all models. It is a linear model that describes the path of how a message is being sent and received. This contemporary model is based on the existing Shannon-Weaver model, which is composed of almost the same components. However, some elements are modified as action words. In this model, noise is viewed as an omnipresent element that can exist in every aspect of communication. The sender starts the process by relaying the message to another person, choosing the medium on how to send the message. Each message can be sent by the sender through verbal, nonverbal, or written form. Originally, Shannon and Weaver created their model with a concept of telephone communication in mind. The encoder is the machine that is the telephone, which transmits the message to another person. In the contemporary model, encoding became the process of transferring the idea to someone through use of spoken words, written words, or sign language. The message is the content of the conversation. It is the information that is transferred by the sender to the receiver. The medium is also called the channel. It is the way of how the message is being transferred. Some channels may be through sending messages in the internet, as in emails, messengers, chat, or other online platforms. It can also be through voice calls in a telephone or a cell phone. In face-to-face communication, a concrete concept of a channel does not really exist except for the sound waves that comes from the person's mouth whenever he is speaking. Noise interrupts the message from being clearly delivered. Noise in communication leads to misinterpreted messages and misunderstanding between the sender and the receiver. There are 4 types of noise: physical noise, physiological noise, psychological noise, and semantic noise. Physical noise is external to both the speaker and the receiver that hampers the transmission of the message. It could be a very loud sound or a very loud party, or sometimes an irritating noise from a defective machine inside your office. Physiological noise is any physiological issue that creates a barrier with communication. This may include sickness, hunger, poor eyesight, articulation problems, and hearing difficulties. Psychological noise is referred to as the mental interference between the speaker and the listener. There are predispositions that unconsciously affect how we interpret the message that comes from another person. The emotional state of an individual is also part of psychological noise. Sometimes extreme sadness or extreme happiness affects how a person interprets the message. Semantic noise occurs when the speaker and the listener do not use the same language to transfer meaning, or they use the same words but they have varying meanings depending on the context and the culture of the speakers. The receiver is the person who finally gets to interpret the message or what is left out of the message after the interference of the noise. Decoding is the exact opposite of the encoding that works in order to decode the signals or binary codes sent through wired phones, cables, or internet back into sounds or readable messages. In face-to-face communication, the receiver decodes the sound waves to form a logical and comprehensible message. Feedback is not originally proposed by Shannon and Weaver in 1948. This is created by Wiener in response to the criticism that communication is not only linear in nature. Feedback happens when the receiver responds to the message sent by the sender. Feedback is sometimes optional.